Hello. Today we are going to learn a Photoshop technique where you're going to create a reflection of an object. And you can see here the lipstick. This is the original image of the lipstick, and we've made this reflection. In addition to that, then you're going to turn this into an advertisement for a magazine. This could just as easily be a pop-up on a website or something, but we'll just keep it simple and we'll just call this an advertisement for a magazine. You notice that our Photoshop assignments have kind of changed direction slightly, and that we're not just learning new techniques each lesson. We are getting some practice in doing some graphic design, and so that's just as important as the learning the technique part. And we're getting some practice with design as promised. So there's my finished product. So now we'll start from the beginning and see how to make this work. The first thing to do would be to go on to do Google image search and just find an object that you want to use in your ad, and then you'll come back into Photoshop, go to File, New, and you'll make an 8.5 inch by 11 inch project. And there's our white piece of paper. So you got that, and then you want to go in and open up your, in this case, my lipstick. Open. So there's a lipstick I found online. And I found a good one because I found one with a white background that's going to be real easy to delete the background later on. Okay, so there's my two files. So the first thing I'm going to do to my piece of paper here is create a background that kind of looks like a seamless tabletop. That is a tabletop that doesn't have a corner to it. That's a real common way of photographing objects in commercial photography. And so we're going to create that look by just using the gradient tool and using a black and white color combo. So we've got black and white. I'm just going to start here at the top and drag down beyond the bottom there somewhere. And so I've got just a nice smooth gradient from black to white. Now I'm going to come over to my little lipstick, get my move tool, and just drag it over. And then I'm going to get the magic wand and just select the background and hit delete. Get rid of all that white stuff. Select, deselect. So there's our lipstick. It's really a little bit too big here to be able to make a reflection, so I'm going to reduce the size of it. So I'm going to hit Control T for free transform, and then grab the corner, and I'm going to hit the Shift button so I can reduce the size and keep it constrained to the right proportions. Something like that ought to work. Then hit enter. Okay, so I'm going to name my layers just so when we talk through this it'll be easier for you to follow. So I'm going to rename layer 1, let's call it lipstick. And now I'm going to right click on that layer and duplicate it. And the duplicate copy I'm going to call reflection. You don't have to name these layers. It just makes it easier for me as we talk through it, like I said. Okay, so we have two layers, one exactly on top of the other. So what I'm going to do now is go into Edit. We're going to go Edit, Transform, and then we're going to flip vertical. So now the layer that was on top, what we call the reflection layer, has now been flipped upside down. And I'm just going to use my, I guess I could use my move tool. And if I hold down my shift button, it'll constrain me to a perfectly up and down motion here. So I'm going to do it just all touches. And then to make that reflection look more like a reflection, I'm going to reduce the opacity. It's whatever you think looks good. And then the last thing I'm going to do to that reflection to make it look a little more realistic is to go apply a filter to that layer. And so the filter we're going to use is called blur. And we've got lots of blurs. We're going to put a motion blur on it, and we're going to put the angle 0 degrees, just left to right, and then you can kind of experiment around with different settings here, but it won't take a whole lot. A motion blur just kind of make that look like it's a tabletop reflection instead of just a perfect mirrored image. Something like that. So you can kind of experiment around with that a little bit. So now to turn this into an ad, you kind of got to decide how you're going to lay it out and where you're going to put the type and where you're going to put the name of the product and the logo and all those kind of things. So I think I'm going to link these two layers together. And the way you do that is you select one layer, and then while holding the shift key, you select the second layer. So now those are both selected. And I'm going to go down here to the bottom where it's got like a little chain link. I'm going to link those together. You can see they have a chain link next to them now. So now from now on, whenever I move one layer, it moves the other. They're kind of linked together, which would make sense with what we've done here. So I'm just going to move that over to the side and then start putting some of my text and stuff over here. You could go online and get a logo for a company and stick it on here. And but before you do any of that, you probably want to go back to Google and do some image searches for ads, magazine ads for your particular product, and see if you can just kind of get some ideas and maybe emulate something that you see. That's actually a good way to learn graphic design. So do that, and then start turning this into a magazine ad. And so again, my final product looks something like that. It'd probably help if I had like the brand name logo down here or something as well. There you go.